everybody, it's Anna, and today we are going to review The Last Jedi. Now, I'm going to give a little bit of a disclaimer. We're going to talk about spoilers. So if you have not seen it, and you don't want spoilers, which if you haven't gotten spoilers yet, or you haven't seen it, I don't know how you've been able to avoid them, because this is all a lot of people are talking about, or have been talking about. And that's why I kind of waited, because there's always spoilers in my reviews. Sorry. So there's my little warning ahead of time that we are going to have spoilers. So the other thing I want to warn you about is that I am a Star Wars nerd, which most of you know if you follow my videos. I love Star Wars. Like, I love it. I jumped my George Lucas video. I'm a nerd. I can't help it. Sorry. So let's talk about what's going on here with The Last Jedi. I think the big issue here is that it is very different, which I kind of think is funny that it's getting backlash for that, because people were pissed off when The Force Awakens was so much like A New Hope. So what do you want? Okay, I think I want to give the director a lot of credit for going a little, he strayed away. And I like that. I think it needs some change. Now, that being said, I think one of the biggest problems it has, and a lot of things that kind of maybe put me out of it a little bit, was the humor was a little off for Star Wars. It wasn't bad humor by any means. It just didn't flow. There you go, flow. I was trying to come up with the right word there. Flow with what we're used to in terms of humor for Star Wars. The humor's a little more dry. And you notice this, that you're laughing, but the characters aren't laughing with you kind of thing. Like, it's not meant to be funny. It just is funny. Han Solo's lines a lot of times were like that. I got a bad feeling about this. All of that little stuff. It's funny, but it's not set up like a joke. Unfortunately, they did try that a bit in The Last Jedi, and I think it just didn't stick. A prime example is that whole thing about Rey sitting on the thing and he tells her to reach out and she reaches out with her hand, and then he starts like tickling her hand with the little stick or whatever. He's like, you feel that? That's the Force. And it's like really forced humor. It's funny. Don't get me wrong. It was very funny. In any other movie, it'd be just as funny, but it doesn't really flow with the way Star Wars is set up. And Luke tossing aside his lightsaber, that was a little weird to me. Now, if he was trying to reject it, for me, what I would have seen was to see him, like, just drop it. You know what I mean? He'd just be like, he's holding it in his hand and he just can't hold it. It's just too much for him. He doesn't want anything to do with it, and he just drops it. That I could have seen in terms of Luke rejecting it, but him tossing it aside like that, so debonair, like, it just didn't work. It felt silly, and it felt like it just didn't fit with who Luke was. Now, some people were like, oh my God, Luke would have never ran away. Luke would have never given up. Luke would have never done. First of all, we didn't know what Luke was really capable of. Okay, we only saw him at the first part of his Jedi journey. And it was like, no, he was full Jedi at the end of, Return of Jedi. Yes, but he was still teetering. Okay, he had really just come into his own. So how he would have aged and how everything would have affected him, and how seeing darkness in his nephew, how that would have affected him, we don't honestly know. I know that Mark Hamill came out and said that wasn't his Luke Skywalker, but I think, too, this is a character that he's been, whether he's played it in movies or not, he's been for so long, that we all kind of form our ideas of how things would have affected them. And maybe he would have never imagined the story going the way the story goes. And I respect Mark Hamill as an actor, and I love him, and I love seeing him in things, and he's an amazing Luke, and I think he does a great job with the material. Whether he agreed with it or he didn't is kind of irrelevant, in my opinion. The other thing that I think people were a little off-put about was Poe Dameron. He comes across in the first movie as almost perfect. I mean, he's not always perfect, but he's perfect. I mean, he makes all the right choices. He's this amazing pilot. He works his butt off. He's great. He's loyal. He's everything. Doesn't really show him a lot of character flaw to him. And I think giving him a little bit more flaw in that he's kind of fed into his own perfection a little bit too much at this point, where he's too sure of his own decisions and not recognizing that other people might think differently than him and it might be right. So I liked the fact that Poe was a little more damaged. Not saying, no, damaged isn't the right word. I'm going to take that word. I'm going to take that back. I don't think damaged is right. I think the right word is that Poe's more flawed. And we get to see those flaws and get to see his growth. Whereas last time it was like, Poe's perfect, Poe's perfect, Poe's perfect. Yay, Poe! Okay, yeah, no, I like him. I do. I like him a lot. He's a great character. But I liked seeing him a little more flawed this time. I think Finn was fine again. Finn's a good character. I think they could have done more with him. I'm really sad about the whole Phasma thing. I was hoping to see more of her. But again, what you can't do too much. You just can't. And you're never going to make everyone happy with a Star Wars film. It's impossible. It's impossible. It really is. And you'll know this from my George Lucas thing that I mean, you can't make everybody happy, so just make the film you want to make. And I still think it was a good film. And I think it was a good end for Luke. I do. Argue with me. It was a good end for him. He was able to end his journey the right way. He was able to let go of his own failures. He was able to let go of the pain. And he was able to face what he wasn't able to face back when Kylo was younger. And he became a symbol of hope. And I know hopefully we're going to see him again as a Force ghost. But him ascending into the Force like that was just beautiful. It was beautiful, and I cried. I'm not going to lie about that. I also cried a bunch of times. I thought they were going to kill off Leia because, of Carrie Fisher's unfortunate passing, and then they didn't. So I have no clue what they're going to do with that. I really didn't expect her to, live out the film. So I'm not sure what they're going to do about that for the next one. I just hope they do her justice, because she deserves it. The entire cast is, especially the original cast. New cast is great, but the original cast deserves the right send-off. And I think Luke's end was incredible. And I think it was exactly what I, as a Star Wars fan, wanted to see happen to him. I didn't want to see Kylo strike him down. I did not want that. I wanted to see him make the choice to leave. And I get a little choked up just talking about it. So that being said, I think people need to give The Last Jedi a little bit of a break, because it really was trying to do something different. And if we want new and innovative Star Wars films, then you need to just let it go. You cannot be sitting here yelling and screaming and cursing the directors and all this for trying something different. I think it had its flaws, but it was a good film. And I've already pre-ordered it, just like I do with all of them. So that being said, because like I said, there were some flaws to it and the humor was a little off at times, I think it could have been better. But I want to see more films like it. I want Star Wars to keep on this journey. I'm going 4.5 glasses of wine for The Last Jedi. No, not a perfect 5. This is my first Star Wars like that. But I'm happy with it. I'm happy with where they're going, and I want to see more. So let me know in the comments what your thoughts were on The Last Jedi, what you think they need to do next. Where do they need to go? What should they do at this point? Where should episode 9 go? And don't forget to like and subscribe. And you can follow me on Twitter. You'll mostly see pictures of my cat. Sorry, I'm pretty boring on Twitter. I'm trying to get better, I promise. But until next time, I hope you guys have a wonderful week.